Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. The Minister of Sport Thokozile Xasa says her department is building one national centre for sports. The minister said the private sector was invited to take part in the world-class centre for developing the skills of young people. SABC's Ngatane spoke to the minister about the positioning of sport as a mainstream sector of the South African economy.
We're very happy to participate in this investment conference because that in itself is saying we are now bringing sport into the mainstream of the economy, because nobody really looks at it, whilst it is making such a contribution into the GDP, because some of the other sectors you would not really be able to quantify their contribution, but sport you can. And unfortunately, when now you quantify, you easily are able to take its contribution into agriculture. When you talk hospitality around sport, you easily take its contribution and put it into manufacturing. If you think merchandising that goes to sport, you also would not quantify the coverage in terms of media as it is happening, which has got economic benefits and contribution, but also on top of it, the tourism that it brings. Bringing in the World Cup in South Africa, we know what it has done, the legacy that it has left, and the development that that has got into, but it's calculated somewhere. So its contribution has not been centrally put here for people to understand. But on top of it, the business, the private sector contribution into sport. So now, coming here and participating here has brought sport into the mainstream amongst those critical sectors you would be thinking in, because part of the work that we are doing, we are investing much more on infrastructure. And this infrastructure, if you're looking into the investment, making the example of the World Cup, if you look into how our stadia are, structured, some now have gymnasiums inside, which is something for sustaining it. You are able to have with your Moses Mabhida that as a tourist attraction, it continuously brings in revenue. So they have been, modeled such that they are able to sustain themselves. And therefore, they are opening space to other businesses. So looking into reviewing our case for sport, so that sport is not just left under your social sectors as a nation building and social cohesion only, whilst it contributes in uniting the nation positively. So we want to expose both the fans themselves, we want to expose those who are running within soccer and the various other codes, because we have about 16 priority codes at the moment. What is the business that is running behind there? So that you don't find them when they quarrel with SABC on this and this, and not knowing and understanding that people can also participate in it. So we're remodeling, we're looking into having our case for sport, having an element that is going to be highlighted, which is the business of sport. Looking into those SMMEs there, looking into those hospitality that is happening, looking into those transport and transportation that is happening, looking into further just regeneration of the cities where these matches and whatever play is happening, but also as we put infrastructure. For instance, yesterday, before coming here, I had a meeting. It's a 2-day meeting with AU Region 5. 10 countries are participating, and we have identified programs of working together. We're finding our niche in terms of hosting some of the games here, which means they come here. We therefore are identifying infrastructure to put that is going to give those kinds of world-class infrastructure, so that they have a practice ground as South Africa, but also assisting other African countries who have found a niche in terms of certain codes that they are good at, because we want to take our young people to go and practice in that terrain, practicing with those athletes who have excelled in the world and get that exposure. So there's so many careers. We also want to ensure that we don't have a situation where you have former athletes, former players who are now like begging in the streets. How we can turn around and train them in some of the careers that we're looking for, because we also are looking at ensuring that our governance structures operate properly in order to give opportunity to those young people.
Now, various people are here to sell their ideas to get funding for them. What are the key ones that you want to be funded here at this forum?
For instance, as we are having our sports week in Free State, we just finalized in terms of accessing a piece of land where we're going to put up a national training center. This national training center is a world-class center that we are starting with as a country. We don't have any of that center. It's a center. If for instance, you would have been exposed where, when these World Games are held, there would be accommodation for the athlete. There would be all those infrastructure in one place for the various codes that South Africa offers and wants to excel in. But also on top of it, you're looking into, in the very center, having hotels. So it means it's going to open. That is one that we're looking at putting into the basket of Invest SA. But on top of it, we have several small partnerships with private sector in South Africa that we want to enhance and look into incentivizing those private sector partners who are contributing into sport and enhancing on the work that they have started doing.